beautiful souls. I hope you're well. Today, I have with me beautiful Deserie, a lady that I've had on my channel a couple of times, who's also great friends. We met about 3 years ago when we discovered Elena Danan's material and resonated with it very much. And since then, we've been good friends, like with Quentin and Tina and other people. Deserie, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me back.
It's a pleasure always to have you on the channel. You are an energetic practitioner. You have a practice of your own and a website of your own called Healing Guide in the Garden. We can talk about it later at the end. Give people the link so they can actually go under the video to explore what you do. You have a very varied practice. You can touch on different ways of modalities and helping people. So that's really wonderful. You can just have a little word about it at the end.
Sure.
But today, we decided together that it would be fun if we could, or if you could share with us a little bit more about discovering, or the whole process for you of discovering your starseed origins or families, not only where you come from in terms of star nations and things like that, but also the process of it. Like, how did you recover this information through time, through different modalities, seeing different people, or your inner journey? So I think that's also the process is usually as interesting as the actual results of finding, where we come from.
Yeah,
So without further ado, I'm just going to let you kind of flowingly share with us about these experiences. So welcome.
sure. Thank you. Um, it has been such a journey, an amazing journey. Even since I was a child, you feel so different, as I'm sure every starseed that watches your channel knows that feeling of this just isn't where I should be. So it started as a child, knowing, okay, well, this isn't home. I never felt like I was home. Um, I never had any contacts with any beings of any sort. So never was it any wondering uh, why I'm being contacted or anything like that.
Mhm.
But as a child, I was in a lot of fear. I did have a lot of trauma, and I think a lot of us go through childhood trauma as star seeds. Why we contracted to do that is beyond me. Um, but I would have tons of nightmares. For some reason, of giants coming and taking me out of my home.
Mm.
And I don't know what caused that, or if that's just some type of past life, stuff that I had to try to heal in this life, because that was pretty scary. Um, but I was always in fear. I always had to sleep in my parents' room, just a scared child. But I had this knowing that I was never alone. And I was never scared, as far as knowing that I wasn't alone, because I felt there was always something with me. And I was protected, extremely protected. I've always felt that everywhere I went. So that was always very helpful, but it still didn't help the fact that I was always scared. I was like calling on something. I just wanted to go home. And it just felt so weird. I remember as a child playing outside and looking up and wondering why I was so scared, but thinking it just felt like we're already in heaven. It was so weird. I told my mom, I said, Mom, I think we're already in heaven. She goes, What do you mean? I said, I think we're already in heaven. Look at how beautiful it is. And even back then, thinking as a child, how would I feel that? How would I know that? I think it was just the frequency within,
Mhm.
changing that frequency of not being in such fear and being able to see the beautiful existence that we have. So, anyway, you kind of lose that as a teenager. You go through your little teenage spats of I know everything, and
Yeah.
all the learning process that comes along with that. And kind of forgot about, all the childhood stuff, and went through the whole growing up. And I would say back 2009, I feel like, is when I started the process. And what I mean by the process is the change. I think we all begin that change and we all go through it at different points in time. Some people earlier in life, some people later in life. Um, and I started to feel panic and anxiousness and complete fear. And I didn't know what was causing that. So of course, I went to the doctor. They medicated me and put me on a lot of different SSRIs and a bunch of stuff that made me really sick. So I went through that for a bunch of years, and then became pregnant, and that seemed to change a lot of my frequency. I was still taking my medication, but I knew at some point I was going to have to taper off of it. But of course, still at that point, I was not awake or aware of what the pharmaceutical companies were doing. I had no clue of anything. So, going to the point of 2020, I think maybe late 2019, I started to go through the big change of awakening to our surroundings and what was really going on. And that was the catalyst. That was the beginning of the whole dark night of the soul. So, and I speak a lot about that in our last interview. So if you want to go back and check that out. So I began there, very confused, very scared, not knowing what to do. But at that point, I came across Elena's video with Alyssa when they were doing the Pleiadian contacts and found a lot of truth. And I don't know how I stumbled across that. I don't know because I wasn't into any of, I think I was watching Project Camelot with Carrie Cassidy. And she has a lot of, a lot of the truthers and a lot of the super soldiers and all that really big info. If you're not ready for it, you're like, what is this? So I started a little too fast with all that and then kind of grasped back to Elena and Alyssa's information, and that really just resonated. That hit home with me real.
Mhm.
And then we got into the groups, and that's where I found my soul family, you guys. And it really, I felt such a pull to you guys, a sense of home, and that I've never felt, not even with certain family members. So I felt that resonance, and of course, we still have each other today. But a lot of what Elena was saying just it hit me. So I felt I needed to schedule something with her when she was doing one-on-one interviews with people. And so I was lucky enough to get a session with her. And that led me to the biggest experience and change of my life. Um, I had been going through some stuff just months prior to that of the whole beginning of the dark night of the soul, um, going through a lot of fear of past life events that I had no idea how to understand. I didn't know anything about past lives and traumas that we carry on here. And there was one night that I was laying in bed, and I don't know if I've already told this story, but it was big. It was a huge event that led me to explain to her when she helped guide me through that. There's a huge storm out, windy, very windy here. I live in the middle of New Mexico near zero water. There is zero water here. Um, but I was laying in bed. This wind was just, I had so much fear in my heart. And I was at the point where I was just laying there saying, the water's going to come. It's going to take us, and I'm ready. Just take me. It's going to happen. And I didn't know where this was coming from, but I just I was in fear, but I knew that this was going to be it. This was going to be the end. It was almost like I was reliving something that had already happened. And when I was perfectly okay with it, it finally came and I fell asleep and I woke up and I said, I healed it. I healed. I healed that trauma. And when I had the interview with her, she explained to me what that was. And it was a trauma from the first cataclysm in Lemuria, where I was responsible for a bunch of people. And I took a lot of that responsibility with me through lifetimes, and especially into this lifetime. And when the whole pandemic hit, I went into a state of fear again, feeling that I needed to be responsible for all my loved ones, trying to warn them, and no one would listen again. So it kind of put me in that depressed state of feeling that I was responsible for them as well. So that was something again that I needed to heal and realize that I wasn't responsible for anyone anymore. So that was, a huge deal that I needed to. And when she explained that, it hit me, and I said, I understand. I completely understand. So, um, being that I was in Lemuria, I asked her exactly, how I got there and what my starseed origin was. And she channeled into me and she was looking at my energetic signature and she said that it was the Ohorai, the Arcturian race. She explained that my soul was very tall. It's a very tall blue being, light blue skin with shimmering eyes, a very wise race and very high frequency and very ancient. And everyone, everything that she said, it gave me goosebumps because it was like I had this knowing and I wasn't fully awake yet. I didn't have all this information about all of the different species and everything else. So after that, I started to dig deep in and start learning more about other races and timelines here on this planet and stuff like that. But um, when she did that, she also explained that my energetic signature is like an activator. So those that I come across that are ready to be activated, it's almost like we activate each other. So we begin that process, and you're ready for it, you're ready, and it's going to happen, whether we like it or not. Um, so it was almost in a sense like she was an activator for most of us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she is the envoy. She came to do that. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, it's so powerful. Um, so yeah, that was beautiful confirmation with her. It was the most beautiful experience. And I just thanked her for everything she's done for all of us and bringing a lot of us together. Some of us have smaller groups, some of us are the bigger groups and the groups that Tina have put together, which are amazing. I
Yeah.
try to keep up with them, but there's so there's so much.
So much.
I'm like, I look in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, all these people are so beautiful and I love them all. But it's so hard to keep up with. But I watch everyone. I've always been an observer, watching from afar and just sending love, And that was another thing that Elena expressed is that the Arcturians have a high amount of love, and that's typically how they send their frequency is through love. And it's sometimes it's such a extreme vibration because that's one of the highest frequencies that you can be at. So, and that helped me understand too, why I had so much anxiety and going through the whole change. Um, I understand that a lot of my light body was trying to integrate into this human body, and that was really hard, especially when you have blockages. It really hinders the whole process. So that's why we're forced to go through and heal a lot of this past life, this lifetime, anything that we hold within ourselves, um, and purging that out so we can integrate more of that light body. And that's pretty much all of the process that we're going through now.
Mhm.
So that's where you get a lot of the ascension symptoms and
I just want to rebound on something you said because I think it's really interesting. And because you mentioned that in this interview, but also in previous interviews we had together, this notion that a being of high frequency, sometime when they're dealing with their 3D avatar, they're going to feel like really intense frequencies and they're going to the 3D avatar will or ego will tend to think, oh, what's wrong with me? What's happening? Am I anxious? Am I going? And you've told me that once, and I was like, oh, it kind of eureka moment when you said, in fact, it's a form of excitement. It's like instead
yeah,
of being like a fearful thing, it's just that your frequencies is just trying to get into like another frequency avatar, and there's like a kind of discrepancy there, and that creates like a surge of energy or something like that. But
yes.
and we have to see it more like that rather than like, oh my god, what's happening to me? Should I, heal myself? Am I going through like this really scary phase or
Am
something?
I dying?
Am I dying?
Because
Do I
it
get
does
like
it.
heart palpitation? Why is that?
Yes.
And so I think that a lot
Hmm.
of starseeds who come from high frequencies, such as yourself in terms of Ohorai, but others, probably they also feel that sometimes. Like it's not just because they have like unresolved trauma, but sometimes it's just like they have these
Right.
energy things. They feel like they're being like, they're losing their breath or something. And it's
Right.
perhaps it's not. We should not necessarily fear it, but just be more
No.
like wondering if it's not perhaps just this discrepancy of frequency. So I just wanted to touch upon that because I think it's an important factor for a lot of star seeds of high
It's
frequency.
huge because I'm sure everybody is feeling that. The higher, we have seventh dimension, we have ninth dimension, we have 12th dimension. Um, I'm sure it goes higher and higher and higher, but all of those are way higher than what we are at right now. So as we integrate that light body in, we're feeling those cold chills. We're feeling our head expanding, our our physical body literally expanding, trying to fit this huge, beautiful light body of high frequency. And so we feel that shakiness, we feel the chills, we feel the headaches, the extreme headaches, the crown opening, trying to open up our connection
Yeah.
directly to source. Um, and we, doctors don't understand how to explain it. We go to the doctor, we're making sure we're not dying. And they have no explanation for it. So we're over here trying to figure out, okay, what's happening?
Mhm.
But really, it's the integration. It's coming in. We're starting to crystallize our body. We're literally changing all of our molecular particles within our body as we are still living. So again, it's the birthing process of integration of that higher self coming in. And, I wish they had books on it, but,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's ever been done before, but we are a very uh, angelic Christos for human race.
Mhm.
And the Christos is the crystalline, the Christ consciousness is how it's explained, how we integrate that. And we're literally modifying it as we go. So, again, yeah.
Regarding your well, I know a lot of star seeds who are dealing with this kind of challenges of high frequency and a lower
Yeah.
frequency are often, well, that's what Elena says, that a lot of people are actually being taken by the Council of Al Nilam, which is the previously the Council of Five, where it's positive abductions, if you want, where we're kind of
Yes.
put into kind of level to help us deal with these energy kind of discrepancies and things like that. But as a practitioner yourself, and energetic, you don't call yourself, yeah, practitioner.
Practitioner.
What do you feel like you can do to help people, or how can people help themselves, which is always a good thing as well,
Right. And it's,
in
yeah,
this
it's
situation? Like, if I mean, perhaps you are being taken at night, by the wonderful loving counsel of Al-Anon, but we don't remember that in general. So like, how can
right.
we just help ourselves in that way as well?
Right. The process of beginning the healing process is basically um, cleaning, just doing a defragmentation of everything that we've held unconsciously, subconsciously, that we've taken on. And that even comes from, ancestral things that we've taken on. So I just basically guide them through a process of them going through and looking at those different things energetically, going through past lives and clearing that all of those slates out, um, and giving kind of like a clean slate to start at. And then, it's a work in process. You have to continue with that work. It doesn't just stop. We don't just heal it just because we did this one thing. It, we're doing it until we're gone
Until
from
the
this process.
13th density will be in evolution. It's a
Until we're done
constant
here,
process until we get
it is a constant process,
yeah.
which is beautiful. But once we understand that, it starts to get easier. We start to become in less fear of even the outside world.
Mhm.
And we realize that we are the creators creating this experience that we now have control. And so all of the other silly things that are happening on in this world are for contrast because it's the catalyst to help us change. If we had nothing around us going on that was negative, we would just be fine and we wouldn't grow.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's the
yeah.
balance.
So I help guide through that and go through the whole healing process and give some tips and especially with the whole transition with the anxiety, the higher frequency, understanding that, clearing out subconscious traits that we've carried on
Yeah.
and guiding with that. So, sometimes it's scary doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Some of us have had to do that. I was lucky enough to find a beautiful mentor to
Mm-hmm.
help, with courses and learning how to do that. One thing Elena did um, pinpoint in our interview was going through a shamanic process to be able to help others. And so I'm going through that process now with other courses,
Wow.
to help, guide people a little bit better, a little bit easier, giving a little bit more modalities for my practice. So she has guided she guided me in this hour and a half interview more than she can understand, and she's just amazing. She never stops. Um, but we all just love her so much.
Yeah. So
But
from I'm sorry, I took you kind of away from your own
yeah, that's
reality,
fine.
and I kind of brought you into your practice a little bit, but
Hmm.
I invite you to go back into the process of your discovery of who you
Yeah. So after I had met with Elena, I uh, found another lady, Zoe. She does starseed origin readings.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, I'm just really interested. I want to see, what else she can touch on. And she doesn't know Elena. She has no contact with her, nothing.
Mhm.
So this is pure knowledge that is coming from her. And she also, too, channeled in that I was of Arcturian, origins. Uh, I am completely human. I'm not hybrid of any sort. I have come into a human avatar,
Mhm.
just seated of the Arcturians. Um, and again, all of her information completely resonated. It just, it sealed it in. And I knew with Elena, I felt it all completely, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have that reassurance and that solid, you know,
those corroboration are really kind of
Yes.
comforting in a
Yes.
way. And yeah, especially when it's completely parallel and, you know, it's
Right.
wow, it's just amazing.
It was very, it was beautiful. She also did an activation of letting me know that I was going to be clairsentient. And I started to already feel that. And I explained that with Elena, that I could start to feel energy. I felt energy through the trees, through the crystals, through just planetary alignments, earth shifts, stuff like that. It almost feels like it's 3 days. I feel it 3 days before it actually is going to happen.
Mm.
So it makes it very challenging at times, but now understanding that I can feel that and that's all that is, it's not so hard to cope with anymore.
Mhm.
Um, this Lion's Gate was pretty intense. And I think a lot of people will agree that they felt a lot of the purging. I felt it was a huge purge and a complete transformation for a lot of us.
Mhm.
Um,
While we're on this subject, can I ask you a question? I remember Alex saying in one of his latest webinars that one of the reasons why a lot of people right now were feeling very some strange energies coming. I mean, it was not just about ascension, but the fact that we kind of hit the fourth density and that we were kind of having to deal with the kind of the lower astral people or beings now, and
mhm.
where it's a kind of an uncomfortable state where we're kind of dealing with these energies that are not really very high vibes. And
Yeah.
is that something you feel too in your energies or in what you do, or
I felt it completely.
yeah,
It felt completely in the heart chakra,
yeah,
a pulling. We are in a complete spiritual war at this moment.
yeah.
And we're going to feel that energetically,
Hmm.
um, especially with, I'm very, because I'm from Lemuria, very tied to Hawaii. I've never been there. I'm tied to a lot of the islands over there. Um, and what has recently happened over there hit a lot of us. And it hit a lot of us because we're connected to this earth, and that is the 12th stargate of this planet, which is the heart chakra. And so that hit a lot of us hard. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to take down our frequencies. They're trying to put us in fear. Um, but us knowing that, we can heal from that quickly. Um, when I saw that happen, it was almost like, here we go again.
Yeah, it sounded familiar from previous lifetimes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And yeah, so my heart goes out to everybody that's having to go through that because we're all connected. So
Yeah,
we can feel each other. We feel that. We feel the loss. But we can also raise that vibration for them and hold that space and hold that love and that healing for them. Because this too shall pass,
yeah,
and they can't take us down forever. They're losing and they know that. So they can get us where it hurts, especially in the heart.
they're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They are, which is their last fight. Um, so it hits a lot of us, and that's okay. We will heal from it. We will
Yeah.
come together as a collective and help each other. And so, um,
So anyway, we're going back to the topic.
yeah,
You
going
had
back
this
to the topic.
activation with Zoe, which was incredible. It was very, it was
Yeah,
really
the
corresponding.
the sentience that,
Mhm.
so that it started to increase and increase, and it seems like it always increases. It's like,
Mm.
okay, let's slow down just a little bit. And then also, I do have increased connections with my star family.
Mm.
There was a time I was really sick. I'm going to say about 2 years ago. I went outside for a little bit, couldn't breathe, wasn't feeling well at all. Told my husband I'd be outside, and I said, I'd just give me 5 minutes. I went outside, laid on the hammock, and I just called in my star family and asked for an emergency healing. And so I closed my eyes. It was only 5 minutes. It was just 5 minutes. And I opened my eyes, went back inside, and my husband said, "Where have you been?" And I said, "What do you mean? Where have I been? I was just outside for 5 minutes." And he goes, "You were outside for 2 hours."
Oh my
And I
God.
said, "No." I said, "Nuh-uh." I know. I saw my watch. I know how long I was out there. Um, but I feel at that time, I don't remember um, anything happening. I do remember feeling a lot better and being able to breathe better. So at that point, I thought
Mm.
maybe they, helped heal me quickly, or I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But at that point, I knew, you know.
Yeah.
But you just can't tell anybody because they're not going to understand you, you know.
Yeah.
So that
But
was a
you
very,
honor us with your trust today to share that experience today, and I'm grateful for
yeah,
that. Thank you.
yeah. So after that, I started trusting a little bit more that I could call in on them. And so I do. And I go outside sometimes and I'll say, "Hey guys, where are you?" I close my eyes, tune into my heart, and they appear. Their ships will appear. One will come in. Um, there was a time where I was really desperate. I was really sad. I was really emotional. Um, I said, "Oh, please let me see you. I just want to see you." And they came in and I just started to cry.
Mm.
And it was too much. And it just went away really quickly. And I said, "Okay, I understand. I can't be, I understand that's why they don't show themselves to me because I'm still longing for that. I'm still,
Yeah.
if I were to see them, it's going to be, please, oh, I want to go. It's still a lot. And it's still a lot of homesickness, a lot of trauma that still needs to be healed, I guess. Or maybe in my contract, I was like, "No, you guys just don't show me because I know I'm just going to be too emotional." That's the over, that's the extreme love, that feeling, that needing that love. Um, so I understand when I call them in, I need to be calm. I need to be at a certain frequency, otherwise they will not show themselves. Um, if I'm in a bad mood or if I'm just, wanting to see them just out of, just wanting reassurance, I guess you just got to go and have your heart open and not needing, but just asking for, "Okay, are you guys there?" And they'll show. And there was a video I did take, a really clear video. I think I sent it to you guys on our Starseed family. And it was very clear. My husband was there. So I said, "See, you see
Yeah.
them, you know." And I
Hmm.
said, he knows too. He has to be at a high frequency. So he sees them too. And,
It's
you know,
nice. It's
mhm.
comforting to have a
It
partner
is.
with whom you
It
can at
is.
least share that. That's good.
Hmm. My father has seen them as well. I feel my father is also Arcturian.
Mm.
I feel that essence with him. He has a lot of trauma. He's of that age, that whole age group where they're going through their victimhood trauma. And so everything on the news is real. Everything's so negative, all that good stuff. But, you know, I'm connected to him for a reason. He's my protector. He's my everything. Um, so, I have that connection to where I can go outside. I'm in that frequency. I call them in and I know they're there. That's that's about it. Um, I do go into meditation state and I can see a violet essence. So with the violet essence, I feel that's them or my higher self. I haven't figured that out yet. So it's still a journey. It's still a process of trying to figure it all out. But I know that they're a part of me, but that does not have anything to do with why I'm here. Um, it helps. It helps guide. It helps with the process of figuring out who I am, knowing thyself, understanding that the kingdom of heaven is within us, that we're just changing that frequency. So if we're not in that fear state, we're not in that victimhood state, we're not in that, oh, look at what's happening here, um, we're now inside and we're being guided to raise that frequency and not be in fear, because that's where they want us to be. That's where they have control of us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard
Deep state, you mean, just to make sure that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's again hard to navigate,
Yeah.
Because we're still human, we're still connected, and we still get caught up with those silly little things that happen. But again, it's contrast. It
Yeah.
can't affect me if I don't let it,
Yeah.
So
The contrast is.
um
Tell
yeah.
me just something. I find it interesting the parallel you make between the way we can feel homesickness or longing for our families upstairs, and how that can bring us in a state of neediness or emotional neediness. And I find
Mhm.
that quite interesting because I always had during my whole life, for different personal reasons, this whole reflection on emotional neediness as humans in our relationships, on our normal relationships, maybe with family, with friends, with partners, whatever. So I think it's really quite interesting that now we can also address this question of the emotional neediness regarding our starseed family. It's not just, I think it's kind of mirrors, some of the things that we might sometimes have to still heal or deal with when we are
Yeah.
in our avatars. So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting point you're bringing there about, it's not just about homesickness, but also about that question of when you're too needy and you want to see them too much, they're purposefully not going to appear and they're not going
Hmm.
to come. The same way a partner will tend to flee a
Push
little bit
away.
when you're like too
Hmm.
needy into clingy,
Right.
So I think that's kind of interesting, how there's this
Hmm.
parallel there again, still between, that world and that sphere and our sphere here. So it's
Hmm.
always connected. Anyway, but that was just a
Yeah, it's part of the whole hero's journey that we've
yeah.
created as a collective,
Mm-hmm.
going through that whole different process, that cycle, and then getting to the point where we only need us. Being alone is okay now. It's not scary. It's the process of finding wholeness and within ourselves, um, which is still a process. It's unless you're a monk or Buddha or something. I mean, it's like, well, how do I get there? Um, Especially when you have family and kids and other things that you have to do on a daily basis. But we have to set aside time for ourselves. This is a journey we are on. We are just creating everything exterior of ourselves. So, once we get an idea that, okay, I'm in control, I am creating everything, it starts to make sense. You start to manifest what you need, what you want,
Mm-hmm.
if you're in that frequency,
Yeah.
because everything is frequency. Emotion is a frequency. So once we learn how to alchemize that, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
Things outside of us don't factor into our manifestations anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to that, it's healing those traumas. It's healing those, you know, things that trigger us.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it triggering me?
Yeah.
Well, let me get down to that and figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know, we're all at different stages, and we're all here to help each other in different ways.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, but
Anyways,
dealing with the 3D world, we learn how to do that a little bit better once
mm-hmm.
once we realize. So, um, raising my child, I've learned that, okay, um, my husband wants him in the school system. I understand it's probably not the best place, but how can I make it better, since we need to try to integrate a way of him having a fun childhood with learning and being able to play and have those experiences that us as children, some of us had beautiful, wonderful experiences at school.
Mhm.
There are other places where, okay, that's not happening. But why is that manifesting there?
Mhm.
Maybe those are lessons to be learned. So I've integrated myself into the parent teacher committee so I can have more control of what my child's doing at school, be
Mhm.
more involved. If there's anything that I see that isn't right, I'm going to speak up and try to see if we can change it and build support there.
Yeah.
So, at his school, there is so much support. Um, it's a really good school, and some people, may not be that lucky. Some people take the option of homeschooling, which is just such a heroic effort. And I wish I could do that as well.
Mhm.
And should it need to get to that point, I will. Um, but I'm taking the opportunity to try to change and shift some of these 3D aspects that are within the system.
Yeah.
And if, you know, so it's being more involved and having that knowing of, okay, I know the potentiality of what could happen.
Mhm.
So I'm going to step in and I'm going to put my energy in there. I'm going to shift that energy. Every time I go into his schoolyard, I am grounding myself and shifting and rising that energy up. Um, so we do what we can do. And we start to manifest and change things. Going to the
Yeah.
supermarket, not such a scary thing anymore as an
Mhm.
empath, because now we can transmute that negative energy that's around us and be um, that light
Yeah.
and expand it. And now, whoa, people are like, hi, how was your day?
Mhm.
And you change your reality. It's just how the process goes.
That's beautiful, Desiree, because as we were talking about earlier before we started recording, we had that conversation with Quentin a few days ago in an
Yeah.
interview as well, regarding this whole question of starseeds being in a place right now where they're encouraged to have a little bit but more contact with the 3D sphere, where we have tended to kind of stay away from because it was discomforting. It was like complicated, it was heavy, it was dense. People would not believe us. We were like, oh, the hell with that, and I'm just going to do
Yeah.
my thing. And which is, it was a part of the journey. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that, but there's a time when you need to go back and say, and be that bridge and say, I need to integrate that 3D world and not reject it, and also be a
Hmm.
bridge for other people in that world, well, who are trying to perhaps move to another thing. And I think what you're doing with your schooling, which also reminds me a little bit of what Alex Collier keeps repeating about, it's time for us now to really involve ourselves in our
Yeah.
communities. And it's not easy for everyone. Some people live very isolated, but I think
Right.
it's really important that we try to involve ourselves the most we can. Either it can be virtual communities, but if it's even
Hmm.
grounded communities, like, it's even better the way you do with your school. I think, like you say, you bring, unconsciously some light, you
Right.
ground things, and that's amazing light work, and
Right.
in
Yeah.
itself, it's already, so a lot of us can just by being, we can
Right.
contribute to this collective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. We're all doing it, even if we're going through a hard time, just wanting to be indoors, just wanting to be left alone. That's okay. That's your process.
Hmm.
You're still harnessing that light of
Yeah.
source down into your pillar, and you're still saving your space for people around, even in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it, but
Hmm.
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, So again, we all go through those different processes. Some of us had to go through the healing process sooner than others, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Now we're guiding the way for the new change of how we want things to be.
Hmm.
And now we are creating the new earth, or wherever this is, wherever we're at.
New density or new energies, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
the new energy of
Yeah.
wherever we're at in this beautiful galactic space.
Hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, and just helping and showing love and gratitude especially just being thankful every day. that
Yeah.
we get to be here. It's only a second. And doing, our star charts that I think some of us have done, you see how many different planets we've been to. And
Yeah.
you're like, this is just a second,
Hmm.
so let me go ahead and enjoy it. Let me try to figure out how to enjoy this experience now.
Yeah.
Um, and make the best of it. I'm not going to be victim to this. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I'll go home soon, but that's fine. I'm going to enjoy time right now.
The process and
Yeah.
the journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something also you've mentioned a few times in the previous interviews that I really resonate with is this biting into life that you always kind of bring us back to,
Hmm.
which is, yes, it's challenging. Yes, we have our moments, but always remember that this experience is so unique. And I mean, there's so many amazing things that we can just bite into this life instead of just focusing on the drama and, just
Yeah.
get out a little bit of from that just really low and dense things and try to remember the beauty of this incarnation we have.
Hmm. And somewhere I heard, not all souls get to be here at this
Hmm.
point in time. And most of the strongest souls are here right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of us that are doing the work, we're here doing it because we can. And we've done it before. We've done this process before. So just know that we're going to get through it. Yeah, the hard stuff is coming up, but we're not getting shot at on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's not the old medieval times where, you know what I mean? It's getting better. It's getting
Yeah.
easier. Yeah, we're seeing the yucky stuff because the veil is the whole apocalypse, the veiling, the showing of what we had to endure is showing, but we don't have to involve ourselves. It's taking care of itself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, it was there for us to see so we can transmute, we can heal, we can move on. And now the next steps are coming.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, my dear Desiree, in your process of self-discovery regarding your star nations and your connections to your beautiful connections, was there where do you stand now in that process? I mean, where are you now in terms of discoveries, but also how do you interact with that information with that guidance and presence in your life on an everyday basis?
Mm. Well, knowing that I'm extremely protected, it's easier to talk about things like this now. Where
Mhm.
before you're like, oh no, this, what are they going to do? What if someone, um, there is no fear. You realize fear is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's dangers. That's fine. We understand that. Don't touch a tiger because it's going to bite you. Um, but just expanding the knowledge, because knowledge, it goes within our DNA. The DNA starts to activate. It's activating now as we speak with all of these energies coming in. Keeping our frequencies clean, um, doing that on a daily basis, checking in with our bodies, saying, okay, what do you need today? How are you feeling? Okay, why am I having some back issues today? What did I do? Are there some past life issues that I need to deal with? Is there anything circulation issues that I need to, and going within yourself? We are literally like uh, all of our organisms, everything within our body is our universe. So commanding that universe as it only hears
Microcosm.
us.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It only hears us. So as you speak and you command and you send love to that whole body, you're taking care of it. Um, you know, just paying attention to ourselves, making sure we are caring for ourselves correctly. You're tired, rest. You have to rest. You're thirsty, hydrate. It's just the simple things. So I pay attention a lot to a lot of that, inner voices, inner knowings, and nonstop. I'm always taking in information, um, and that really helps with the whole process of integrating the remembrance, pulling in from the Akashic, because we're all connected to the Akash,
Hmm.
um, of the memories that we've had. And just doing the daily work, because information is energy,
Yeah.
information is frequency.
Mhm.
So watching what information we are putting into our energetic bodies is very important as well. So I don't
It's
think about that.
energetic hygiene the same way we, you know, what we eat,
Right.
what we drink, it's, so the
Right.
information we feed on, or
Hmm.
the drama we feed on, is also something that will have an impact
Yeah.
on. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of drama going on right now in terms of, divisions and things going on in our world.
Hmm.
So I guess more than ever, it's important to really see within
Yeah.
ourselves what resonates in our heart. If it doesn't fit you, it's okay. Just discard it. You don't have to,
Exactly.
you know,
You don't have to
you
mess
just,
with it.
yeah. And, just follow your higher self, your heart, what resonates with you. And
Right. And
yeah,
listening to yourself
yeah,
because you have all the answers. Literally
yeah,
have all the answers.
absolutely.
Um, so, clearing all those traumas out, it makes it easier to hear those answers.
Hmm.
But, that's why I try to help, guide people through those traumas, clearing those out, understanding why they were there,
Yeah.
moving on from them. And then we start getting that guidance we need that we, contracted. We all have those contracts and they, start up when we're ready for them.
Hmm.
So nobody's delayed, nobody's excelled, nobody is where they should be, shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We're all where we need to be. Um, and it's just an amazing process, and especially the people that we meet in the process of it,
Yeah.
because we meet people in like frequency.
Hmm.
So if you're all, you know what I mean, and it's amazing. It's such a beautiful process.
Yeah.
And the amount of people you just, oh, resonate with so many people. It's like I know you from somewhere. Could be from a different planet, but I know you.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful. Oh
Right,
yeah.
there's Desiree. I'm gonna just give your link again to your practice, which is Healing
Sure.
Guide in the Garden. And people will be able to see the link under the video if they want to have a look at that. Before we bring this interview to a close, is there any final words you would like to share with us in terms of?
And yeah, someone had asked me, where'd you get Healing God in the Garden? I actually got it from Dolores Cannon. She has a
Oh,
book,
okay.
Guardians. What is it? It just went out of my head. Um,
Okay.
it's in the garden. It's Guardians of the Garden or one of her books.
Okay.
But it just hit me so much. A lot of her info uh, really
Mm-hmm.
touched my soul as well, Dolores Cannon. But that's where I get the whole, we're all in the garden together. We're all
Mm-hmm.
healing together. We're all guiding. And so that's kind of where I got that from. So that was something I had to kind of explain.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in the garden all day. I'm not doing all that. Probably should be, but
It's a good way to
um,
ground, but you have other things to do as well.
yeah, definitely. But just, coming into our own divinity and understanding that, there is no right or wrong process to this of what we're doing. Um, just, I don't know, being able to transcend this human world that we think we're stuck in and going above it and doing more and opening those abilities that we have. Um, yeah, we have that opportunity now. We're not limited anymore, especially with the energies that are coming through now. So yeah, I just thank you so much for what you do and all the guests that you're bringing on. They're just absolutely, I love them all. They're just amazing. Everyone that shares and learning more about, the galactic chicks and all the people that, we interact with and stuff. I'm not very active there, but I see everyone
Yeah.
and I send everyone love. So
Well, thank
yeah,
you. Thank
but
you for
thank you
bringing.
again.
It's a pleasure. It's always an honor and pleasure to have you, Desiree. You're bringing your beautiful wisdom and calm frequency. I know you say you've been very stressed out or anxious in the past and things. But for me, you're always, calm, Desiree. You're just poised and you have that kind of Ohorai energy that, kind of
Mhm.
exudes from you. Anyway, I want to thank you again for all your beautiful, not only your words of wisdom, but also your beautiful, unique experience that you brought to us and shared, had the courage to share with us. I know it's not always easy for people to share about especially their star nation or connection. Sometimes it's something more private that people try to kind of keep in their heart, like it's a place where they don't want to be criticized or judged upon. So
Right.
every person that offers that personal experience for me is a very courageous person, and I really honor that. So I thank you very, very much. And also sharing with us the process is interesting. I mean, not just the context themselves, but how you went through there, and how certain people have helped you in a way and gave you nudges. Although, as always, as we know, the work is something we do and all the answers are within ourselves, but sometimes we need nudges, and that's good too. It's a process of humility to remember that, sometimes it's hard to find and we need a little bit of a nudge here and there, and that's okay, and that's what you're bringing also in your practice, in your beautiful practice, to people who are starting to awake or that sometimes have challenges. So again,
Mhm.
thank you for all you do, as well as a energetic practitioner, and all you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
For people who want to know more about Desiree's practice, but also the previous conversations we had in the past regarding different topics, regarding ascension, regarding energetic hygiene and things like that, which is really, really important things, I invite you to go back on a little bit before on my channel. You'll find, I think we had two or three previous
Three now.
interviews. Anyway, so there's a lot of good things there for. So guys, don't hesitate to go and discover Desiree a little bit more. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Beautiful day,
You
and
too.
thank you. And let's keep up the high vibes in these moments of ascension and sometimes challenging moments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again. Take care. Hello, beautiful soul. You have been on a spiritual journey for some time, or perhaps you're just starting your inner journey. And you probably have questions that remain unanswered right now, although all your answers lie within yourself, as always. But sometimes we need someone to just give us a little nudge. And personally, as an intuitive and a transmitter and a creator, I have created my own type of approach where I offer the people the opportunity to ask a few questions, a maximum of 5 questions, where I will provide from my inner guidance, which is the fractal of source that I am and that you are as well as my high vibration guidance will provide a vocal transmission. And also we will be creating an artwork just for you, unique and original, based on your questions, and the motifs and the colors that will be chosen for the artwork will have in some way some information about the answers to your question. And I will also use a piece of music that, either through the frequency of its melody, of its words, will also give you some clues as to what the answers to your questions might be. And I only serve as a nudge, as a pointer, in order for you to, after that, resonate or not with this information, and then you can pursue your own spiritual and inner journey, just having been just helped a little bit on the path. So if you're interested in a creative intuitive transmission session, which I call CIT, I invite you to follow the link that's below in the description of this video, and on my website, abigailrichard.com/CIT. And don't hesitate to ask for more information or just book a session. Have a lovely day. Bye.